All right, folks. So today's video is going to be about misunderstandings around resistance training. So that is myths and common misunderstandings, misconceptions around people's view on resistance training. So firstly, thanks for making it onto my channel. If you have any questions or comments, pop them down below. And if you'd like to work with me on your own strength and physique goals, there's a link in the description. So let's crack on with the first topic. I think the first misconception is this idea that training for strength or training for size are two completely separate endeavors. That is, in general, BS. Strength isn't entirely built on low reps and low volume. I remember years ago there was a sort of a routine, I forget what it was, I think it might have been Lane Norton's, where he had like a strength day and hypertrophy day, something like that. God bless him. And it fueled this misconception that certain rep ranges are for strength, other rep ranges are for size. And I mean, I'm sure he's more intelligent than that, so I know he doesn't believe that now, but it was a very confusing thing. And so you have all these people on the internet saying, yeah, I'm running, here's my strength day, here's my day I build hypertrophy. And then that bled over into the whole DUP crowd, where it was like, okay, I have a strength day, I have a hypertrophy day. And you've got Mike Zerdos, the inventor of DUP, basically saying, look, that's not what I intended, actually. So there's a misconception that strength is built on low reps and low volume. It's just not true at all. Any good strength routine, like the holistic strength routine, encompasses both. They encompass repetition work as well as top-end strength work. So that could be like my tactician routine. It has some high-end work, and it also has a lot of volume as well. Alpha Destiny's routines, he's a great guy, very strong. His routines, again, they have top end work and some repetition work. He goes for very high volume overall. Westside Barbell, stuff like that. Or any good strength method tends to have specific work, top end work, whether that's for a single, or which is what I prefer generally, or is it for if it's for a set of 5 or 6, and then a bunch of back off volume as well. Works great. It's a great way to get trained. So it's not that the high intensity, low volume portion of the routine is what builds the strength and the rest builds the mass. It's a complete system. And that's kind of what people misunderstood about the DUP thing. It's not like you have a strength day and a size day. It's one entire system that builds everything together. And that's, what it's about. So you're always going to see in effective mass and strength routines, you're always going to see limited amounts of highly specific work. So that could be like singles, top 5s, and a lot of backup work to get you bigger and stronger. So good strength training will get you big. Okay, I was asked this question recently about my tactician routine, and it was my fault actually, because I wrote a fairly confusing description on my website, so I apologize for that. But I've changed that now just to reflect the fact that actually it is a strength and mass routine. It's probably just a bit more bias towards maximal strength because of the single work in it. So it's specific single work. But yeah, in general, any natty routine which is well thought out, which is geared towards strength and mass, is going to do both for you. Okay, and any routine which is just a low volume, high intensity routine, it's probably not going to do very well for you in the long run. And I've said this before. People will always say, I did the high intensity Dorian Yates routine for about 6 months and I burnt out. It's like, yeah, that's what we keep telling you. It hasn't really got many legs on it for a natural guy. You need to build the volume in at some point. So next point is to do with specificity. Now, for strength, assuming you want to be, let's say, either a power lifter or very strong at a few lifts, is specificity king? Well, if specificity is king, then variation is queen. Okay, to go with the chess analogy. So specificity is vital for peaking. So to peak your strength for, say, a powerlifting competition, you have to practice the squat, bench, and deadlift at some point to enable you to get maximum performance on those lifts. You can still go into a competition off variations if you want to, but you want to try and at least peak your lift with specific work. However, variation is vital for building strength because variations build strength by targeting weak areas in similar movement patterns. So for example, my main movement when I was powerlifting for my bench press was the close grip bench press. Loved it. I did the close grip bench press and the slingshot bench press. So I would have the close grip bench, which was really good for hitting my triceps. My close grip bench would always be about 10% below my regular bench. So I knew if my close grip bench went up by 10 kilos, my regular bench would do as well. And I also did some top end work, a limited amount of top end work with slingshot. So it overloaded my bench. So when it came to a bench press, it was great. Widened out my hands. I was already used to handling load in that position. Perfect. It was an easy way to bench, but at the same time, it allowed me to keep the stress off my shoulders because the close grip bench was easier on my shoulders. Worked great, So what I would do is about 6 weeks prior to a competition, I would just work in the regular bench press a little bit heavier. So yeah, specificity is king, variation is queen. So you could also argue that, getting stronger on a wide range of variations which target the main lift, it's just going to build up your entire strength base. The expression that we used to use when I was younger and coming up was strong is as strong does. Like if you've added 20 kilos onto your close grip bench press, 20 kilos onto your incline bench, then odds are your bench is going to go up as well. Same with the squat, variations there with a high bar squat, pause squat. Every now and again, if I had access to it, I'd use the safety bar squat. Deadlift was always a stiff leg deadlift with either belt or without belt, paused or not paused, and that would be my primary builder. Every now and again, I'd add in the deficit deadlifts, but yeah, some great variations, So strong is as strong does. If you get strong in a variety of close variations, all which slightly bias your weak points, you're going to get stronger. It's a time-proven method of strength. And I can pretty much guarantee you guys, if you look at any good strength coach online, that's pretty much what they do. The differences come with how the ratio of variations to like main lifts and assistance exercises, those three things. So if we've got main lifts, variations, and assistance exercises, every strength coach sort of varies between that. Again, if you look at Alpha Destiny, he does a lot of variations. I've said this before in the write-up that I did of his routine. His routines are very similar to mine, and I like that about him. If you look at sort of more of a, Chinese weightlifting way of doing things, they utilize quite a lot of assistance exercises to build in all the muscle groups which are lacking. So pretty much as a whole, strength is built off of variations mostly, with select amounts of assistance training and select amounts of specific work. But it's not accurate at all. My point is this: it's not accurate at all to say that if you're benching for low reps, great, that's powerlifting training. No, it ain't. Like, the strength, for the most part, is built off variations. Okay, next. Let's just cover another misconception around resistance training. This idea that volume training is for mass only. That's rubbish. It's rubbish. Volume, this misconception, this sort of myth that if you're doing volume, you're a bodybuilder. And as soon as you do low volume, that's when you should be a powerlifter or whatever, right? That the idea that volume is for bodybuilding and like higher weight is for strength training. You need both. It's BS. Volume fuels mass and strength. All the top strength athletes do a ton of volume. I was speaking to Tom Martin. He's my ex-coach, good friend of mine, and he coached me about 10 years ago. So, and we speak every now and again. I actually reposted one of his bench presses up on my Instagram recently. It's an amazingly inspirational story. But anyway, I was talking to him about training sessions, and some of his training sessions take up to 3 hours. He was telling me about the type of training he does now for his squats. The squats that you see that he puts on Instagram, the single repetition squats, single repetition deadlifts, oftentimes he would have done 2 hours of training before that squat goes up. Can you believe that? 2 hours of leg extensions, leg press, warming up for the squat, all that kind of stuff. And somewhere in that session is a maximal squat. Volume is insanely important as you get stronger. Like, these are top guys. This guy's deadlifted way over 800 pounds at a body weight of about 240. He's the guy who broke Ed Cohen's 30-year-old junior record. Now, his training sessions are 2 to 3 hours long because at that level, it just takes that much more for the body to move forward safely. So not only to stress the body enough to get stronger, but also to keep the body safe, resilient, you need the volume. The type of training which just looks at low volume minimalism, I mean, it should just die off. It's pointlessly lowballing what you guys should be aiming for. Now, I understand if you have time constraints due to, work, family, we all do, or if you have like a medical condition which precludes you from doing that much, but that's a different circumstance altogether. I'm just talking about the direction your training should move to as you get more advanced. It should generally be more, not less. It's a complete misconception. So volume builds both mass and strength. You can be sure that when I was at my strongest, and I've said this a few times before, I was in the gym 6 days a week, and it was usually full body routines because I was just training whatever I could. It wasn't heavy all the time, but I specifically remember deadlifting heavy 4 days a week, light twice. So that's another strength misconception. I think this video has gone on for long enough, so I'm gonna finish off with a couple of more strength misconceptions, strength misunderstandings in tomorrow's video. I've just got a few more points to go through, but just to kind of summarize, I think firstly, this idea that strength training versus mass training is this completely different sphere and style of training is completely backward. All good strength training routines combine both. Strength routines and specifically strength routines are somewhat biased towards top end strength, and hypertrophy routines tend to lack a little bit of that portion of it, but they both will get you big and strong. And secondly, this misconception that if you're trying to get stronger at the bench, squat, and deadlift, you should only do those. It's just not true. And I'll say it again, if specificity is king, then variation is queen. Strong is as strong does. If you get strong on a wide range of variations which are close to the main lift will go up. And you need more variations the stronger you are. The closer you are to a beginner, the less variations you need and the more specificity you can get away with. And finally, this idea that volume training is really just for mass. It's not. Volume fuels both mass and strength. If you're a strength athlete, you need more and more volume to get stronger. If you're a bodybuilder, you need more and more volume to get bigger. It's a consistent truth. And it's not just true for the training and the stress, it's also true for the prehab and all the stuff you need to do to stay healthy as well, which is important because let's face it, that's what curtails most people. Most people are that guy who never hit his peak because he got injured. So it is insane to suggest that prehab isn't important and keeping safe while you're going up in weight isn't important. It's very important. You have to adapt yourself to the rigors of being bigger and stronger. Like if you feel 140 or 3 plates on the side on the bench will kill you, then you need to ensure that on the way up, you are taking the necessary steps to mean that it won't kill you and won't hurt you. As in, your form is good, you're doing enough prehab, you're working in top range work if you need to make sure your ligaments are strong enough to handle that load as you get stronger and stronger. All right, folks, I'll pick this video up again tomorrow for the final part, but this is my video on strength misunderstandings in resistance training. All the best, folks. Have a great day.